Hi, this is Michael Wax. In this video, we're going to talk about uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. We touched on it briefly in one of the other videos, but we're going to go into more detail at this time. Uninsured motorist coverage and underinsured motorist coverage is, in my opinion, the most important part of your policy. It will cover you and the people in your vehicle in the event that the other party who caused an accident did not have insurance at the time that the accident occurred. The reason that uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage is so very important is because most serious accidents are caused by people who are driving drunk, who are on drugs, who are asleep at the wheel, people who are not on top of their game, people who have problems in their life. Those are people that usually drive around without insurance. So if you're going to be involved in an accident with somebody who is going to cause you severe injuries, to be sure that you're covered, make sure that you have uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. How does it work? If you're involved in one of these types of accidents, the other party who does not have insurance, you have an underinsured motorist coverage or uninsured motorist coverage that will step into the shoes of that person. What it in essence does, if you have $50,000 worth of uninsured motorist coverage on your policy, now all of a sudden the person that caused that accident will have $50,000 worth of coverage. And you and your attorney will proceed with the case as if that person had that coverage. Now I know what you're thinking, because I have clients say this to me all the time. But Mr. Wax, I don't want to use my own insurance company. If I sue my own insurance company, my rates will go up. Well, that's wrong. That's not the way it works. Uninsured motorist coverage and underinsured motorist coverage only kicks in if the other party is not insured and if the other party was at fault. The mere fact that your insurance company pays you benefits under your uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage is an admission on the part of your insurance company that the other party was at fault and the accident was not your fault. So if by some chance, years down the road, you get an increase in your insurance premium and you believe that it was related to an uninsured motorist claim that you made, you can look into that. And in all the years that I've been practicing, I have never seen a situation where an insurance company tried to raise somebody's rates because they exercised their right under the uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage that they had. It just doesn't happen. And if it ever does happen, you have a really good argument to say to them, look, you paid me under your uninsured motorist coverage, therefore you admitted the accident was not my fault. You can't later on say that the accident was my fault. So this is really important coverage to have. And the results that you get from this kind of coverage is usually better than you get if the claim is against the other party who had insurance. And the reason I say this is because now you're making a claim against your own policy, your own insurance company, and they have a fiduciary duty to take care of you. So these cases are usually cleaner and easier to deal with because you don't have the same kind of antagonism that sometimes becomes the case in a third-party case where you're making a claim against somebody else's insurance policy. Your insurance company has a duty to treat you fairly, and if they don't treat you fairly, there are ramifications that can occur if they don't treat you fairly. And there are penalties that can apply to them. So these cases are usually in the insured's best interest as opposed to a third-party case that we normally see around. So an uninsured motorist claim is important, and it is something that I see all the time. Now let's talk about underinsured motorists. Underinsured motorists will happen if the other side does have insurance, but they don't have sufficient insurance. Let's assume you had an accident and you broke your leg, and the other party only has the California minimum $15,000 worth of coverage. You then wind up settling your case for $15,000 because the other party doesn't have any assets and all they have is $15,000 worth of coverage. You, on the other hand, have underinsured motorist coverage. And let's assume, just for the sake of discussion, that you have $100,000 worth of underinsured motorist coverage. That would mean that you would have an additional $85,000 available to you in your underinsured motorist claim to pursue, because $85,000 plus $15,000 equals $100,000. You can't stack the policies. They have to equal up to what the total amount is. So in this case, it's really important with you, the victim with a broken leg, doesn't have sufficient coverage from the third-party person, but you've got underinsured coverage. So that's why it is so important. Uninsured motorist coverage and underinsured motorist comes under the same portion of the policy. And as I said previously, it's not a mandatory part of your policy, but in my opinion, it's probably the most important to have. I've represented many clients over the years who came to me and they didn't have uninsured motorist coverage, or they had insufficient uninsured motorist coverage, and there was only so much I could do for them. And I would then tell them that, you know what, when you leave my office, please go and change that policy and increase that coverage. And oftentimes people do, and sometimes they don't. And over the years later, sometimes those same people came back to me with subsequent accidents, and some of those people were smart enough to take my advice and to make sure that they put that coverage on their policy. Other times people said, oh, Mr. Wax, I forgot. And then there was only so much we could do for them. So I'm telling you now, when you finish watching this video, call up your agent, make sure you have sufficient uninsured motorist coverage. Thank you very much.